144 pounds. So I have a lot of work to do. Oh, I should show you the dinner. So that's James's dinner for today. And that's what I'm having. We're both having some oat milk. We're going to talk about the life of Chuck and those other things. And we'll see how things go. James has his book ready because he wants to talk about that. And we'll see if that works out. So, I guess I'll talk about the pizza first. It's what I did is I cut one of those 3 cheese oval loaves in half, like the long way, and to use as pizza crust. And then I put some basil that I dried from James's garden on it, and some oregano. Oh, first I put hummus on. I spread hummus on top because I found out years ago that that makes a really good pizza topping. And so then I put the basil and the oregano and bell peppers stuck to the hummus, and then red onion, some cabbage, red cabbage, and not very much of that. Red onion and some olives, and on this side I put pomegranate arrows just for him to try. I don't know if they'll be good, and I put them. I put that on after I baked it with the Italian cheese mix in the oven at 350. And those tomatoes, I thought he could put them on top if he wants to or whatever. And they're just fresh. They're just Brandywine tomatoes from James's garden, and it looks it doesn't look that big right now because I took the seeds out, but it was a huge tomato, and
almost like a pumpkin.
Yeah, James was very happy with that one, so we'll see if he's happy eating
happy
it too.
With, the tomatoes.
And then I put some shrimp on the side, and that's dinner. So I guess I'll get started talking about the life of Chuck. This was way better than I thought it would be. I saw Mark Hamill's name on listed here, and I was like, oh dear. This is going to be terrible.
Mark Hamill watch.
But he did a good job.
Yeah, he did.
And really, honestly, I think everyone did.
Yeah.
The first part of the story was, like, the writing was good too. It was a Stephen King story, and it's actually told really well. The first part was slow.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's going to happen in the story, so you're like, this isn't even believable. Like, why are all these disasters that aren't even related? They just don't make sense that they'd all be happening. But then hang in there, because then it starts to make sense. It's very interesting. Both of our favorite parts, I think, was when Chuck danced. That was awesome. Well, and especially as an adult,
but there were several parts, like when the child playing Chuck, or the youngster, was dancing. He did a good job.
He did a good job too. And that's another thing. The child actors in this did a good job.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, especially the one who played Chuck, and he actually looks like, not only can both adult Chuck and young Chuck dance really well, they look like they could be the same person. So that was great. Whoever did the casting, wow, did you ever do the job there? Awesome. Now, the first part of the story, they tell the first part, the last part first. So the first part of the story is actually the last part of the story, but it you get it. Eventually you get it. And the one woman who's acting in it, who has a major part in that part, is my favorite companion of Doctor Who. So that was nice to see her. I don't think it was a terribly challenging role for her or anything like that, but I like to see people that I liked in other roles. Whatever. She played a very different person in this role than she did as Doctor Who's companion. I don't really have anything else to say about it other than hang in through the first part, which is the last
The first
part.
third.
Because
First
this
act.
is so worth it.
No,
It's really,
it's worth it.
it was a good movie. And honestly,
It's
I
not
fell
like
asleep.
the usual Stephen King stuff.
I fell asleep while young Chuck was dancing in school, in the school dance. And then I went back. James was like, "You want me to tell you how it ends?" And I'm like, "No."
You figured it out.
And, but I'd already figured out what was going to happen. I'm good at figuring out mysteries, so it's tough to get one that I don't figure out. Anyway, so I went back and I watched the ending.
So it's
And
not a mystery.
then I
but
let
it's
the
mysterious.
credits go through. I was liking the music and watching the room, you know, and then I then seeing the select screen come up afterwards, with the posters and stuff of thanking Chuck, you know. I thought, that's lovely, you know. So you get back to seeing some of those and you're like, yeah, it's a great movie. It's really nice to see. So I don't know really what to say more about it. Just watch it. It's worth watching. So hang in there through the first part and you'll love it. I can't imagine anyone wouldn't love it. It's not a scary horror kind of movie. Like, it's not at all that. So since I've told you, oh, Stephen King wrote it. No, don't be thinking there's going to be gore or horror stuff or anything like that. You can sit down and watch this with your kids, and it'll be a heartwarming film for the whole family. So you could watch that over Christmas. Stick that on, and it's not going to offend anyone. You can have your mixed company. And honestly, I wasn't going to show myself. I wasn't going to let myself see my weight when I filmed it, because I didn't want to make myself feel bad. But honestly, I don't. This is the heaviest I've been, but I'll take care of it. And I don't feel like, I'm glad that I saw it, because now I think, well, you know, it's not that impossible for me to get down there. And I'm starting with Simply protein bars, because I got these for 50 cents each, but I'm going to be moving to a high protein diet and low carbs, besides the fact that, like, I'll eat just like I did before, whole fruit and lots of salads, and so lots of greens. Like I'll go for the nutrient dense stuff as much as possible and go high protein. And so this one has sugar in it, and I'm not going to keep going with this stuff. I only got this because this was 50 cents each, and I'm going to try to get myself onto my diet slowly. So I'm not going to cut out sugar right away. I'm just going to allow myself this and allow myself to have a little bit, and then eventually you'll see. I'll tell you what I'm doing while I'm doing it. We'll see if it works. And I think it probably will. I mean, I've managed to lose weight doing this before. So I'm going to be sprouting a lot of lentils and other things to make my soup and stuff like that. But you'll see. So, Gunslingers. Now, when I saw Nicolas Cage on the cover and Heather Graham, I'm like, whoa, this is going to be horrible.
It's like 2 movies in a row. We almost had like a Mark Hamill watch and Nicolas Cage watch.
It was entertaining. For the first while, I was like, oh, a Western with these actors, this is going to be so horrible. And then I got into it a bit. And so this town, you follow a guy who he's gotten himself in trouble with the law.
Big time trouble. He's assassinated a Rockefeller.
Yes, so he's really in trouble. Where does he go? Where can he escape to? There's a serious bounty on his head. And he goes to this town that he's heard of, and other people have heard of it too, called Redemption. And I guess he tells a convincing enough story so that the people of Redemption let him stay. And so he gets baptized, he finds the Lord, and so the people in this town, Redemption, it's a peaceful town because they've found the Lord and they've chosen to be peaceful.
I think they were all
even though they were all bad at one point. They were all wanted from the law or whatever. But anyway, so it's an interesting idea. I like how they tell the story, and yeah, Heather Graham sucks as an actress, but whatever. Is
she the blonde?
She is. Wow, she's terrible, but somehow the story works all right. So I wouldn't say stay away from that one.
Nicolas Cage actually pulled off a fairly difficult role.
He did, yeah.
Very different from what he usually
Very different from, yeah, so whatever. Holy Night, Christmas with the Tabernacle Choir, featuring Megan Hilty and Neil McDonough.
Oh, Holy Night, is that?
I had a really hard time getting through this.
Wow.
I got this because James loves Christmas music. He'll listen to it in July, any time of the year he loves it. And
every day of the year.
We watched, what was it called? I can't remember. It was some sort of an Irish Christmas. I think that's what it was called. And wow, that was good.
That was good, yeah.
Yeah.
Two different places.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, you know, the Mormons are known for really loving music and stuff like that. And the people who were playing the instruments, really great. The people who were singing in the choir, really great. Megan Hilty, no.
Is that her name?
Boy, did I ever hate listening to her. And it wouldn't have been so bad. Like, they trotted her out in a few costumes. Why? I don't know.
Different costumes.
A few different costumes. I don't know why. So they make it look like they're singing in front of a big audience here.
Sound like too.
They
huge
have
applause.
Yeah, huge applause and everything.
Canned like words.
Exactly. James figured it out first. He was like, they haven't showed the audience once. And so then I was paying attention. I'm like, nope, they're not showing the audience. And that's why. Because there isn't one there. And it's obvious. So, but Megan Hilty, wow, she was bad. Obviously had operatic training.
Something like that.
Because it sounds like it. But I couldn't stand listening to her. She ruined every song she sung.
And she was trotted out again.
Again and again. She was the big star.
Yeah.
And wow, what they should have done was featured her maybe twice. Have her sing one song and then have some other people sing songs and like be the lead vocalist or whatever, the soloist, and then had her come back, sing another song, and then maybe you wouldn't have hated listening to her so much. But
better,
I mean,
once.
You're looking at the set and you're like, wow, they spent a lot of money putting this thing together. They have costumes. They're making the women in the choir wear these awful pink dresses that look like tents. They're horrible.
Tents,
and
I think
nobody would look good.
Bit better.
It would. Nobody would look good in this pink outfits. I don't know what they were thinking. The men are wearing tuxedos, and I know that in Mormon tradition culture, they don't want the women to be dressed like the men. They want, there's very defined roles for men versus women.
There are no women wearing bow ties.
No, but honestly, it would have been better had they put all of the women in tuxedos too, because they looked horrible in those pink things. I feel bad for whoever was for whoever had to design that and for whoever had to sew the things, especially the people who had to sew the things. They might have had some teenager that was going into fashion design, do the designs, and they thought, oh, well, this is nice to let her do that or whatever. But it looked hideous. So the musicians, like I said, I think they did an awesome job. The problem was Megan Hilty, as far as I was concerned. I even the ugly pink dresses, it's like, I maybe wouldn't have even noticed them had I not been distracted trying to ignore Megan Hilty singing and looking at what they had to offer, what else they had there.
They don't have anything against women having fancy costumes. She was wearing fancy. They were very poorly designed.
Her red dress looked great. The green and blue, wow, that was bad. But honestly, she could have worn the same red dress the whole way along. I don't know why they had to change her outfit. There was no reason for it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about it. So if you want to say more, go ahead. Otherwise,
about Oh Holy Night.
About any of these things.
Holy Night. That was a lousy.
Yeah.
No, there were some good things about it, but geez, yeah.
Yeah.
Even the arrangements weren't that good. I've heard much better arrangements of Christmas songs. Get on the stick, Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. That was dreadful. So I guess now James is going to talk.
I was saying, back when I was a kid,
Okay.
choral music in the whole wide world was kind of dominated by these ideological, and I consider religions ideological, and they are. These ideological things on each side of the divide, the Cold War divide. There was the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, and there was the Red Army Corps. Both represent dictatorships, but the Mormon dictatorship is pretty benign by comparison with the various communist dictatorships. All the communist dictatorships, well, going to include them. The Mormons had their period of terrorism. I hope, trust, and pray, almost pray, that they're over that now. They've still got their dictatorship. It's a little bit like the hierarchy, cardinals and so on and so forth, going all the way up to the Pope in the Catholic Church. Although I think there's a stronger concept of separation of church and state in Catholicism. That's Roman Catholicism. Originally, the head of the Mormon Church, called the first prophet, I think it's president, and choice seer. Seer is kind of like a prophet. They don't mind the redundancy, I guess. And they were heads of the church and heads of the community politically. Okay, Lara Logan's rape. So this is Sharia versus freedom. And this stuff is like George Bernard Shaw's title of one of his plays, Too True to Be Good, in the sense of politically correct good. It's put together, compiled. A lot of these things are essays written by Andrew G. Boston. He's an Ivy League professor, or was. I hope he's still young enough to be a professor. And at this point in time, when this was published, when was it, 2015? 2012, and then second edition 2015, or with revisions 2015. He was at Brown University, an Ivy League university. It's not the most prestigious Ivy League university. There are only 8 of them in the United States, by extension, in the world. 8 of them. He's one of them. He's a doctor, actually, and medical doctor. And I'm going to show you other books that he's written and compiled. The most important ones are ones he's compiled and largely translated, or to a certain extent translated. He points out that some of the stuff that he's got from the Muslim tradition, he's the first person to translate into English. That is shameful. Get on the stick, you people in religious studies that are hiding in the democracies, that are hiding the nature of Islam, right from the get-go up till the very present moment. Okay, so this is called Lara Logan's Rape and Egyptian Muslim Jew Hatred. Last Friday, February the 11th, 2011, Lara Logan, chief foreign correspondent for CBS News, was beaten and raped in Cairo during a 30-minute assault. I've heard it went longer, but we'll go with the 30 minutes. It would be, I think it was captured on camera, by a frenzied throng of over 200 Egyptians. I gather they mostly were males. According to a report in today's New York Post, that is February 16th, 2011, Logan's attackers were shrieking, "Jew! Jew!" on times. That's that tolerant religion there for you. While they assaulted her. Moreover, the day before the assault, Logan informed Esquire.com that she and her crew were harassed by Egyptian soldiers who'd accused them of being Israeli spies. The 39-year-old Logan, who's based in Washington, where she lives with her 2-year-old daughter and husband, isn't Jewish. The horrific fate of Ms. Logan as a woman in misogynistic Egypt, she fared worse and was raped, reminded me of a plaintive letter published in the Egyptian newspaper Akhir Sa'a during 1948 by light-skinned Egyptian Muslim men. It would seem that most people in Egypt are unaware of the fact that among Egyptian Muslims there are some with white skin. Every time I board a tram, I see people pointing at me saying, "Jew, Jew." I have been beaten more than once because of this. For that reason, I humbly beg that my picture, enclosed, be published with an explanation that I am not Jewish and that my name is Adam Mustafa Galib. Such virulent Muslim Jew hatred, inspired by the core, profoundly anti-Semitic motifs of Islam's foundational text, the Quran, Hadith, and Sirah, dates from at least the 11th century as documented by Jews living under Muslim rule and in Egypt and neighboring areas of the Middle East. S.D. Goitein's seminal analysis of this primary source documentary letters revealed a unique strain of Islamic Jew hatred was extant at this time, that is up to a millennium ago. The Jewish victims of this Muslim hatred created a special word for it, most significantly one not found in the Bible or Talmudic literature, not registered in any Hebrew dictionary, but one much used and obviously coined in the 11th century period is sin, hatred, a Muslim Jew hater being called Sunni, a hater. Incidents of such Muslim Jew hatred documented by Goitein were particularly frequent in Egypt. As early as a millennium before the emergence of the Muslim Brotherhood as a modern bogeyman in 1928, the following events wrought tremendous devastation to Egyptian Jewry under Muslim rule. The murderous persecutions by the Fatimid Muslim ruler Al-Hakim during the early 11th century, one which was timed for Passover in 1012. Oh, nice time just for Passover. The pogrom and plunder of the Jews in Alexandria and Cairo in 1047, 1168, 1265, and 1324, and the extortion, massacre, and expulsion of Jews in the 13th century after Sultan Baybars blamed them for starting a plague. "500 years later, the great scholar of Arabic, E.W. Lane, reported after nearly a decade of residence in both Cairo and Luxor, that's in southern Egypt, through 1835, on the difference between the attitude of Egyptian Muslims towards Jews and Christians, highlighting the influence of Quran 582. They, the Jews, are held in the utmost contempt and abhorrence by the Muslims in general. They are said to bear, now understand, this is before the creation of the so-called Zionist entity, Israel. This is 1835, more than 100 years before. The Jews are held in the utmost contempt and abhorrence by the Muslims in general, and they are said to bear a more inveterate hatred than any other people to the Muslims and the Muslim religion. It is said in the Quran, quoting 582, "Thou shalt surely find the most violent of all men to those who have believed to be the Jews." Lane further notes, "It is common saying among the Muslims in this country, that of Egypt, such one hates me with the hate of the Jews. We can't wonder then that the Jews are detested far more than are the Christians, and they would be detested too." Not long ago, they used often to be jostled on the streets of Cairo and sometimes beaten for merely passing on the right hand of a Muslim. At present, they are less oppressed. You see that because of European influence. But still, they scarcely ever dare to utter a word of abuse when reviled or beaten unjustly by the meanest Arab or Turk. For many a Jew has been put to death upon a false and malicious accusation of uttering disrespectful words against the Quran or the Prophet. It's common to hear an Arab abuse his jaded ass, and after applying to him various opprobrious epithets, end by calling the beast a Jew. Now, the woman who was beaten and raped, this was in 2011. This was common practice. Tahrir Square during the demonstrations for freedom and democracy, stuff like that. Demonstrations that ultimately brought down the Mubarak regime. It's a regime. It's better than what followed. And understand, 72% or so, over 70% of the voters in Egypt voted for so-called fundamentalist parties. Those are traditional, mainstream Muslim parties. Fundamentalism in Islam is mainstream. It is the mainstream. Islam is fundamentalist. It's reactionary. It's reactionary back to Mosaic law. Mosaic law dates at least to 1200 BC, at least in its beginnings. That's when the Exodus is conventionally dated. It actually dates to roughly 1866 BC, but that's a different history, or some people would say story. So, 2011, Angela Merkel let 1 million Muslims into Germany. Mainly Turks, mainly who knows what, Syrians? I think it was Syrians, mainly. And escaping from the brutal Assad semi-secular regime and stuff like that. But just because the Nazis were escaping from the brutal communist regime that took over East Germany doesn't mean anyone that believed in democracy should have let them into the democracies. You don't let people who don't believe in democracy into democracies. So in the wake of Angela Merkel letting 1 million fundamentalist Muslims into Germany in the space of 1 year,
You have 42 seconds to wrap it up.
They had Sylvester now, 2015. And my brother phoned me up and said, "Oh, thank heaven she let them all in." I said, "There'll be hell to pay." And there was. New Year's Eve, 1,000 women were assaulted in Germany alone. Absolutely shameful. And anyone who was enthused about that, shame on you, you stupid idiots. Do a little bit of reading and find out the intolerance in Islam. It's all over the place, all over the world now.
So that's what James is discussing. And how was your food?
It's good. It's